Hello there, welcome back. I'm doing a couple of videos this week. I'm still going to do this sporadic thing. I'm not going to do a normal routine for a little bit, but I'll still be making videos, just not for a week. Oh, this week's going to be a splurge of stuff because I've been watching stuff but haven't had time to do videos on them, so I'm doing a bunch in a row. The first one is the Ringu series. I should warn you that these are not like concentration camp videos. I've been doing wrestling stuff. I just don't have time to do those kind of things now. I'm still under a stressful thing going on, so I'm not doing that. I'm watching horror movies because horror movies relax me when I'm stressed. I don't find them very scary, but they're very relaxing for some reason. So we'll start off with the Ringu series. The Ringu's, I'm going to cover the first two American films too, but very briefly, because you don't want to see me rage like crazy, do you? Well, not totally, not for too long. But mainly it's going to be the Japanese. I'm really focusing on Japanese films rather than anything else. So there's nothing in the TV shows, there's nothing about the Korean ring virus thing. I'm not even going to cover the early TV movie, Japanese TV movie, which is apparently awful. I haven't seen it. Not that keen on seeing it. I'm really talking about the Ringu series, the 4 films. Ringu, Spiral, which then there's Ring 2, or Ringu 2, and Ringo Zero Birthday. Those are the ones I'm really focusing on. And first of all, I'll say that I'm a big fan of these. I saw them when they came out. I mean, they were shown briefly in the cinema over in Britain when they came out in the late 90s, 2000s. But they weren't shown, but mostly it was a video and DVD. And I saw them on DVD and on TV. I mean, Channel 4 showed them. That's how I saw them. Well, that's how I saw Ring and Ring 2. I eventually saw Birthday later in DVD. And the Spiral I've only seen recently on the box set. And there's an Arrow box set. There's 4 films. I mean, they should be down here. Sorry about this. Yep, there's an Arrow box set where you get a booklet and you get Ring 2, which also has Spiral on it, and Ring Zero Birthday. So obviously I got this box set, and it's a great box set. The extras are terrific, except for one really pretentious look at the Ring series where they go so far into pretension, it's hilarious. I'll explain that later. But most of the stuff's terrific. The transfers are great. Most of the extras on the Ring Legacy is terrific. There's a good little doc on the career of the maker of the best, one of the best, the prominent Gary Nakata. There's a look at his career, and there's a lot of documentary as well. There's commentaries. There's an interview with the writer of the Ring books. You know, there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's really a terrific look at the whole thing. There's a visual essay of the Ring series and how it fit into the horror, the J-horror boom and stuff. There's loads of stuff. I definitely recommend it. I think it's sold out already though. You had to pretty much get it as soon as it was on sale, really, to get hold of this box set, because it was so, you know, in demand. But it's a terrific series. So the first one, the Ring, or Ringu, it's very confusing because you used to call it the Ring even though you know it's Ringu. The Ring, I always think, is the American version, the remake, the impure version. Ringu is a terrific first film. It's a creepy, atmospheric, beautifully made film about a tape that if you see it, you have 7 days to live before you die, basically. And you don't just die, you die with this horrible look in your face as if you've been terrified and your heart stopped, and it's like this thing, there's no escape from it. It's unrelenting, it's horrific. I'm going to try and avoid being too spoilery about these films even though they're old films, I think because this new box set and the new releases have come out, I think people are going to start watching them again a bit more, so I think it's good to not try and spoil the surprises. Plus, when they get to the sequels, if I try and explain much of the plots, you'll think I'm on drugs. So, there's that. But yeah, the atmosphere is terrific. I mean, even in video and TV, the atmosphere was great, even like the low definition imagery. High def, like 1080p, it looks gorgeous, it looks really beautiful. It's so sharp, and the way the images are set up, and the way the situations set up, it's just beautiful. Because you remember the characters, basically the lead character is a woman who's a reporter. Her niece becomes a victim of the Ringu curse, and she starts to investigate it. She sees the tape, she finds the tape, she sees the tape, but now she has 7 days to stop the curse from killing her. Her ex-husband also sees the tape because she shows it to him before they realise what's going on, and then they have to both have to investigate the curse and try and figure out what the problem is. There are family complications along the way. She's got a son, and there's a lot of creepy stuff with the son. It's all wonderfully done. It's all really atmospheric. You go back into the origin of the curse is really Sadako, which is this this girl, teenage girl who died years ago, and who had supernatural abilities. Her mother also had supernatural abilities, and it's all tied in. I'm not going to explain how it's all tied in, but it's done in a very creepy way. And a good thing about this series is, even though Sadako is the villain, Sadako is like the threat throughout. She's a formidable villain, but it's not like there's no reason why she went crazy and why she's after these people. There is a reason, there is logic of why she's so mad and why she's so rageful at the living. I mean, some horrible stuff happened to her that are revealed in the films. It's a wonderfully atmospheric film. It's a bit like The Exorcist for me, in the sense that I admire it more than I'm scared by it. I'm not scared by the idea of a killer tape. I can admire the craftsmanship, the atmosphere, the way the characters are evolved, the way this outlandish premise is put into a realistic world, and the way the characters react to it. All of that stuff is wonderful. It makes this really implausible idea very plausible. It's beautifully done. It's a wonderful film, but it's one of those films you have to see it. You have to really have to see it in good conditions possible. Turn out the lights, have a good sound system on, and just enjoy it. I think it's lost some of its kick because it's been parodied so much, but because the craftsmanship's so good in this film, you can still sit back and really enjoy it. It really works. It still works as a really good little horror movie. It's just not as unique as it used to be because it's been done so much. It's been remade. It's been all that stuff. But it's still the best version of the story. The Ringu is still the best version of the story by a mile. Because the characters are much more sympathetic than they ever have later. They're more interesting. Like the ex-husband is a fascinating character, very ambiguous. He's not sentimental at all, but there's lots of nuances to him and his relationship with his strange wife and his son. It's all wonderfully done. It's done in hints. They don't explain stuff. They don't stop the plot to explain stuff. It's done very subtly about what the relationship is. It's the same with what's going on with Sadako and why the curse is going on. All that's done with subtlety and nuance, and it's a pleasure to watch. Really great craftsmanship in a film, in a really good horror movie. That's the first one. Again, I've been trying to avoid spoiling too much about it. There are some terrific scenes that I've been told are scary. I didn't find them scary, I found them interesting. But apparently they really terrified some people, but horror movies don't scare me that much. I'm much more fascinated with the story. I'm not really believing in supernatural. I like it as a genre, but the supernatural doesn't scare me. So I really enjoy the story format, but it doesn't really give me the creeps the way it does with a lot of people. So now we go to Spiral. Spiral is the second film. Spiral is it was made at the same time as Ringu. It was made back to back, same actors. So the actors who played the parts in the first one came back for the second one. The ones who survived the first one. Characters who were background players in the first one become foreground in the second one. Characters who were foreground in the first one become background players in the second one a bit more. And it's a much more science fiction film. This was a film that was such a disaster that it was scrapped pretty quickly and ignored and forgotten about, and the sequel officially became Ring 2 or Ringu 2. This one, Spiral, was pretty much dumped. I mean, I never saw it. I mean, it's one of those films I've heard about, but it was just hard to get hold of. I just never knew where the hell you get hold of it, so I never saw it until this collection. And it's really weird. It's extremely weird. It's like one of those really strange films, but it's definitely worth watching. It's kind of like The Exorcist, The Exorcist 2, where The Exorcist was a very moody film. The Exorcist 2 is fucking nuts, and this film's the same. It's nuts. It jumps into this weird world, and it twists and twists and twists and twists, and none of the twists make much sense. And it's all deranged, and it's like there's no grasp in the real world. There's tons of really interesting ideas. It's wonderful and how bizarre it gets, and how weird, and how it's totally untethered to reality in any possible way. Totally untethered to mood. Totally untethered to the threat of the first one. Like especially to be threatened by the first one, but show no motifs from the first one. No threat from the first one. You're supposed to remember, be scared by what you remember in the first one, but it doesn't feel the need to build up mood from the first one to make this story work. And the stories then fast forward is there's tons of really interesting ideas, but each time it's got 5 minutes to set up that idea, and then it's gone. And it's like they've got a book and you have to put it into 90 minutes, 100 minutes. And they haven't worked out a way to make it actually work as a narrative. There's too many ideas, and haven't found a way to make it to cut some of the ideas out and focus on the strongest ones. It just throws everything at you. It's like, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And it's really exhausting and weird, and you just feel like, what the hell am I watching? I loved it. I just loved it. It was so bizarre. It's one of those really interesting sequels. It's like an example of how not to do a sequel, but it's interesting because some of the ideas are so weird. I mean, they have it plays around with the whole idea because Asia is a very reincarnation focused society, or some of it is. There's some idea of reincarnation and things. It plays around with those ideas, and it plays around with supernatural ideas mixed with science. It plays around with just the threat of disbelief versus creepy things coming at you when you don't realise you don't believe in them. Which the first one really grounded it, and this one it's just coming at you. And before you have a chance to recognise there's an idea coming, they're already on to the next two ideas, and you're like, I'm still kind of getting used to that one. And the whole movie's like that, it's just like, and there's just no mood to it. It's just science fiction, but it's very much like when we cram a 5-hour film into 1.5 hours. It's kind of like Dune, the David Lynch version of Dune, where you know there's much more and it's just crammed. But imagine this one with subtitles, with a lot less mood, and even more insane. There's even less regard for the audience than this one there was in Dune. It's just nuts. It's wonderful, but it's nuts. So that's Spiral. I haven't even told you any of the weird stuff that happens. Lots of weird stuff happens. But I will let you experience it for yourself because it's so wonderful. It's just so bizarre. And that's me talking about weird sequels. We'll tie to my next video. Because that's all about weird sequels. I'm inspired by watching Spiral. Next is Ringu 2. Ringu 2 was a film that Nakata made with a screenwriter from the Ringu after the Ringu was much as a massive smash hit and Spiral was such a disaster. It was so hated. It was like, okay, can you make an actual sequel to Ringu that's not that? Just not that. I mean, Spiral was based on this follow-up novel, but it's like, invent your own story, ignore that, do not do that. So, they start again basically. And the funny thing is, one of the supporting characters in Ringu and Spiral is now the main character in this film, but her past from Spiral is ignored, and she's just the same actress playing the same character, but you have to know Spiral for what the character is in this one, because she's a very different character. She's very good in this one. In Spiral, the actress is giving like way too much insane stuff that she's just trying to, like any other actor in that film, they're trying to keep up with the insanity of what's going on. They do a decent enough job, but yeah, one thing I would say about Spiral is the lead actor in Spiral is bloody awful. He's terrible. But everyone else is pretty good. In this one, she's the lead and she's a lot better, she's a more solid lead. And she's trying to find, because she was the girlfriend of the father from the first one, now she's trying to find the family and try and investigate what happened in the first one and the curse, and it's sort of like an outsider trying to get into what was going on, and she's getting flashes of information because she's got some supernatural abilities, and she develops a bond with this little kid who was his son in the first one, and it's all about trying to, because Sadako seems to be very interested in the boy and cussing the boy because the boy has some powers, and the influence of Sadako on this boy may lead him down to the same road that may cause tragedy for Sadako. And basically the doctors and a lot of people around about it are trying to find a way not to have that happen to the boy. So it's all about saving his boy and trying to make it work, make his life not be like Sadako's. So it's a bit more science fiction than the Ringu, but it's still very creepy because Nakata knows what he's doing. He's a really good atmospheric director. He knows how to set stuff up. He knows how walking down a corridor slowly can be terrifying, how a flicker of a TV screen can be terrifying, and that's what it's all about. So even when the sci-fi, well, when it's too sci-fi, you notice how throw in supernatural things that prey on your like superstitions in the back of your mind. It really gets you. I mean, I saw this one on TV first, and honestly I think the transfer was pretty bad then, because there was no root to it. When I first saw it thinking, was this the one that was ditched? And no, it wasn't. I saw it getting DVD and it was a bit better. There was a bit more mood in the tartan DVD. You could see a bit more of what they were going for. Now you see it in the Blu-ray and it's like, oh, the mood's definitely there. Because the mood seems to be just drained out of it by bad transfers. Now you see it in Blu-ray, you can see the full mood, the full intent of what they were doing. And it really works as a nice little thriller. It's not as good as Ringu, but it really works as a nice little sequel. It's like it's almost like an epilogue to the first one. It doesn't feel like it's its own film. It was so like in the first one, but there's lots of really wonderful moments, especially the further it goes on. There's really haunting moments and there's wonderful little character moments, and it's still definitely worth watching. It's not a classic like the first one, but it's definitely a good. I would almost say it's kind of like Exorcist 3, you know, the butchered version, where there's lots of really good stuff, there's some really mad stuff later on. But it all kind of works out though, it's still really worth your time. The lead performance is good, the supporting performances are good, the direction is terrific, there's some terrific imagery as it goes on, I think I've already said that. It's just well worth your time. But again, turn the lights off, have the sound system on, really embrace the atmosphere. It really works. Now we have my favourite of the series, Ring Zero Birthday, Ringu Zero Birthday. This is the prequel. This is the best prequel I've seen outside of Godfather 2. Because it really works, because it's about Sadako before she died. And it's about her trying, because she uses supernatural abilities, it's her trying to make her way in society, join this acting troupe, trying to repress all her supernatural ability and just be a normal girl. And just be, you know, try and put her past behind her. All the kind of suspicions of what happened in the past with her mother and with some people dying suspiciously. She's just trying to be a normal girl and try to repress all the abilities she has so she can just fit into society and not be this freak. That's what it's about, is it slowly falls apart as things go wrong for her, and it's obvious that she's kind of schizo, that she blanks out and there's almost this other figure in her. There's like a dark side to her that's almost floating around and causing problems for her, which is her own subconscious. And it's a tragedy. It's about, she's trying her best to survive this affliction, but she can't, and people are after her for past misdeeds that she's trying to get beyond. And it is a tragedy. I mean, what happens to her is completely horrific, and you start to see why she's so mad, why she's so enraged, and why the revenge is coming for people. Because when she finally turns, it's really something. It's it's obvious she's going to turn on some of these people. I mean, it's not really a spoiler. It's the way it happens, in a way that how you're really on her side throughout the whole movie. The actress who plays her is really terrific. You're really on her side all the way through the movie. So when the tragedy happens, it's really affecting. You're really on her side, and when you find out why she does a weird walk in the Ring movies, the Ring Good movies, it's horrifying how she gets that walk. It's like, oh my god, you can't believe they go where they go. It's beyond horrific, some of the stuff in this film, because it's one of those films you're so into the lead character that when horrible things happen to someone you're really sympathetic towards, it really hits you, and this film really hits you. This is like, I keep on hearing that the Ring sequels aren't that good, but this one disproves that. This is as good as the first one. It's my favourite. It's as good as the first one. It's very different from the first one, but to me it's an equal footing as for quality wise. It's really worth it. All the Ringu sequels, prequels, they're all very interesting, but this one's quality wise, you can just see this is really good. Without any qualification, this one's really good. So that's the Japanese ones. There's been new sequels recently, Sadako 3D, Sadako 2 3D, and Sadako vs Grudge. I haven't seen them, but I'm getting Sadako 3D through from Germany, so there's no subtitles. It will be with one of my without subtitles videos coming soon. Fun. Okay, I'll briefly talk about the American remake on Ring 1 and Ring 2. I'll talk about them briefly just to get out of the way, because I've seen them recently, because I was watching these, so I watched them as well, and basically they're badly written. I mean, the big problem with them is they're badly written. They don't understand the context of the story works better in Japan, in that kind of society. It just works better when there's lots of repression and there's lots of things are explained subtly with implication, and you see how it spreads through a society that's very encoded in tradition, modern in some senses and traditional in other senses. In American society doesn't really have that. It doesn't work. It just feels like it's basically another version of Freddy Krueger. You know, but it's a girl this time. And the first one, directed by Gore Verbinski. Now, Verbinski, I like the director, but he's a very knowing director. He's kind of like Tim Burton and Guillermo del Toro in the sense that he can do a street horror movie. He knows the genre and loves the genre too much that everything's playful. This is almost a Looney Tunes version of The Ring. In a sense, there's all these visuals, but there's lots of humour behind the visuals, and he's not taking it entirely seriously, because it's almost like he knows he's got a script that's not as good as it should be. Because the script by Ethan Kruger, who did the first two scripts here, who also went on to do Transformer movies, it's not good. It's like everything you don't want to explain, they explain it in the most banal way possible. They have they're good actors given garbage parts, really. I mean, everything, there's all the subtlety of Sadako is gone. She's just a villain now. Naomi Watts plays the lead. She does her best, but she's not. It's one of those things where an actress is doing her best in 2 films, but not being given that much to do. She's doing her best with a fairly sketchy character. The kid who plays her son is good as well, but again, he's given inconsistent characteristics. And it's just bad writing the whole way through. It's just like, it's almost like the people involved don't understand the simple beauty of this concept. And it's just, to me, it doesn't really work, except it's almost like a parody of the original. It just doesn't, it's beautiful to look at, but the engine's just not there. It's not scary at all. And there's lots of effects, but there's nothing there that really makes you, there's no atmosphere. The guy playing the husband's a boring actor. He's just boring in this film. And lots of the mystery to Sadako and the house called Tamara isn't as interesting as the Japanese version at all. They echo the Japanese version, but it's not as interesting because they change it to be more naturalistic. And they throw in these weird things about horses as well, which doesn't work. It's just boring. And they just put in a lot more gore, and it's almost like an adventure version of The Ring rather than an actual street horror movie. And it's, for me, it's pretty disposable. You don't need to see it. It's there when you're bored, but you don't need to see it. Same with the sequel, you don't need to see The Ring 2 either. Which Nakata came back for. He came back, he did Ringu 1 and Ringu 2. Someone else did Ringu 0. And they asked me to come and do The Ring 2 after the original director left. So he came in and gave it a lot of atmosphere. But the script in this one's even worse than the first one. This script makes no sense a lot of the time. And he's really trying, Nakata's really trying to make it work. But it's like there's lots of nice little scenes where the kid's taking a photograph of himself and you see the ghost of Samara coming into him. Samara's trying to possess him again, like The Ring 2. He's basically remaking his own film, but much worse. And there's a lot of nice things where Naomi Watts goes into the dream world of Samara to finish her off, which means having a rip-off of the end of Ringu 2 as well. And the solution to get rid of the villain is so bad it would have been rejected by the Nightmare on Elm Street people. It's so terrible. And in this film, constantly is this, they set stuff up and they get rid of it straight away. And it's like, why did you bother setting that up then? And the only thing it saves it really is Nakata. He's going out of his way to do really interesting visuals, really atmospheric moments. He's trying his best, but he's undercut by the producers and the writer who give him garbage to work with and who keep on pulling back from the horror to make it more CGI-ish. So you get little moments of scares, then there's lots of CGI floating around. It's like, I mean, no one's seen a horror movie before. But it keeps going, it keeps on getting nice, terrific little moments, and it keeps on getting undercut by stupid ideas and CGI, and it's just like, I don't think Nakata went back to Hollywood after that one. The film didn't do very well, and it was obviously butchered. It was like, either give him the power to do what he wants, or don't hire him. This compromise didn't work. So that's a Ringu series. I would definitely say, watch the 4 films on the Arrow box set. Watch them. They're great. They are just terrific. The rest of the stuff, you don't need to see. The American stuff, I haven't seen Rings, the new 3rd one. Apparently it's awful. We'll see. I got a cheap DVD version that's on the post. So I'll probably mention that when I'm doing the Ringu, the Sadako 3D one. So you look forward to that at some point. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back pretty soon with another video, which will be my weird sequels. Okay, bye.